Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love eyeshadow, especially shimmery, colorful, sparkly, and shifty eyeshadows. And today we're going to be talking about the new Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. So I'm going to be creating 4 looks. These are the last 2 looks, and this color story is just so beautiful. Do I feel like it's the most unique color story I've ever seen? No, of course not. That being said, I absolutely love all these tones together. I love that there's a mixture of blues, greens, a little bit of yellow, orange, and red, just really perfect. I so like the way that this is laid out. I have previously done a look with the Book of Magic palette that they released last year that I believe is discontinued. So I only have that experience from that palette with the Beauty Bay formula. So let's get right into the swatches, the 4 looks, and then my thoughts at the end of the video. Priming with the Natasha Denona eyeshadow primer. I'm gonna put Sky in my inner corner slash just blending up and putting Marigold next to it. Wow, these are pigmented. And just blending that. I'm not gonna blend them really too much together since this is like a mustardy yellow. Take it a little bit further out. Then taking Earth. It's actually a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be, and I'm gonna wing that out basically. We'll see how these layer because I have had issues. I've only tried one other Beauty Bay palette, and that was the Book of Magic, and that one just like the formula's thinner, reminds me a little bit of Ace Beauté, which I really don't like that formula because it's a little bit thinner for the mattes. And this is like sticking down weird. I don't know if you saw that in the outer corner, so I have to pack on a little bit more. It's like sticking down. I think it's because it was still tacky. So that's still kind of like sitting weird in there though. Picked up a little bit of Breeze on my finger, and I'm gonna put that right on the lid, kind of the inner third, and then next to it going in with Lime. These are so shiny. Wow, these are so beautiful for sure. And then I'm just gonna leave that outer corner brown. Next, taking Earth under my lower lash line. I'm going to blend Marigold into that. And then putting Mint on the inner third of my lower lash line. And picking up Ray from the inner corner highlight. Ooh, that is so pretty. Second look, going in with Twilight and putting it above my crease. Just kind of packing it on. I'm going to use a different shade to blend it out. Just want it to be really dark out here, and then blending it out with Sky. Really trying to feather that out. Adding a little bit more. I feel like I lost some Twilight, so going back in with that. I think it's needing just a little bit more effort, but it's layering really nicely. Definitely better than with the Book of Magic. I felt like I had a little bit of patchy issues when trying to build a couple of colors on top of each other. I'm going to go in with Snow and just use that to blend the edges. Taking the Glam Light primer in White Icing. And I'm first just going to map it out. Definitely need to bring it higher. A bit higher here. The way, when I relax, the way my hood just swallows that up. Next, taking some Raw and using it and winging it out. Try not to get into that blue. I do wish if this was maybe just a tiny bit deeper. And then Sunrise into that. Just switch out my brush. I feel like they kind of blended together. You can't even see the orange. And then marigold. And I'm taking a smaller brush to really get in those edges with marigold. I'm trying to also wing it outwards to here. And I'm going to take a little sunrise and just put it in the center, see if it turns a little bit more orange versus red. It's kind of working. And then taking raw under my lower lash line as well. Blending marigold into it. Taking a little bit more raw. Just to build it up. And then putting a leaf right underneath my inner lower lash line. I'm gonna layer moss over that. And Ray again as an inner corner highlight. Ooh, it's got a lot of punch. And actually I'm curious, I'm gonna take heat and put it under my lower lash line to see what that looks like. It's got a lot of beautiful sparkles throughout it. I kind of want to take it all the way actually. Maybe it will be like a shimmer wing. I kind of like that. Let's do that. So I'm just taking it all the way across. It's not that obvious because I did not put any glitter primer down, but that's fine. All finished up, I put on the Ardell lashes in the style 811. And in the waterline here, I have the Melt Cosmetics eyeliner in Columbia. And on this side, Royal from Juvia's Place. So here's the first finished look. And here's the second finished look. I want to do a green look on this side, going in with a eucalyptus and stamping it into my crease. I think this brush is a little too large, but it's fine. And then taking leaf and using it to blend out the edges. Taking a little bit of snow on a clean, fluffy brush. I feel like it's kind of sticking down here. A little too much. Now I'm going to put Ivy on the outer corner. There's a nice deep shade. Just kind of stamping it down and then blending it. Taking the clean brush again. Next I'm going to cut the crease with the Glamlight eyeshadow primer. I really like this kind of brush for that, I think. A smaller brush is nice, but sometimes it just takes forever. Do it with a smaller brush. And this kind of just helps to stamp it. This brush is from Clionadh, by the way, from their stained glass brush set. I thought it would be too big. It's really nice. I'm going to tap out the edge. There's no harsh line. I'm also going to tap where I put down the primer. Picking up leaf and putting it down kind of like in the center of my lid. I'm going to do a little liner for this one. I have some liners I'm trying to get more use out of, and then marigold right in the inner third. I like this. This is like super fall. I'll pick up a little bit of ivy just to stamp down and feather that out better. I'm thinking of using this gel liner from Lethal. It's Ectoplasm. Taking that on the EO6 liner from Sigma. And I'm just gonna trace the curve I laid down with the half cut crease. And I can always just clean up. I went a little too thick there. Add another layer. I'm gonna leave it like that, and then some marigold. And I'm just gonna clean that up. As well as some ivy just out here. And leaf. And I think that's pretty good. I'm also gonna put this in my waterline. This is almost impossible to do on camera. Finishing off this look with Ivy under my lower lash line. I'm not taking it all the way though. And then taking Sunrise, putting it down next to that. And I'm gonna kind of bring it in here as well. Trying not to blend it though. Same brush picking up Fossil. This kind of like can sheer out, so that's why I'm using it as an inner corner highlight. It is definitely a little too dark for inner corner highlight though. Priming with the Be Perfect primer this time. I do like to set this primer just a little bit in the crease. I'm just curious to see this formula on top of this primer. I believe this is the primer I used with the Book of Magic palette. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, so we're just gonna do a bunch of mattes, and then I just wanna play with all the shimmers and layering the shimmers. So I'm going in with Poppy. I'm gonna put that on the inner portion of my lid and the crease. And then I'm gonna tap on a little bit of Raw onto the lid to make that deeper. Next, taking Mint next to that in my crease and just building it up and blending it out. Definitely think it has better color payoff on a tacky base just from this experience so far. And blending Sky with that. I do feel like I'm getting a little bit of patchiness. Just a little bit. Like it just doesn't look fully opaque on my lid. And then I'm putting Forest on the outer corner because this is like a little bit more on the teal side. I'm gonna pack on a little bit more Sky here, see if it gets any better. It's a really fun little purple happening in here. And I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of Ivy and just kind of stamp it along the outer lash line just to deepen it up just a tiny bit. I'm also taking Ivy under my lower lash line, and then Mint. I still haven't used a glitter primer for these shimmer shadows, so I'm going to try it out. So I'm putting down the J-Cat glitter primer, and I'm basically just putting it all over the lid. I'm going to have a really nice and shiny lid. I'm going to stamp down with my hand Fossil on this inner portion. Ooh, that's so pretty. Then a little bit of Breeze. I kind of really want to use Ocean, even though it's green there. A little bit of Ocean. I'm going to take Moss on a small pencil brush and just put it out in the corner, and I'm actually going to bring it under my little lash line. Oh, that's so pretty there. Really like it. And I want to take the small blending brush and just blend that out here. Maybe take a little bit of Mint. I feel like we lost a little bit of Sky, so I'm putting it back on there. I'm gonna take Breeze and take it up a little higher. So here's the third finished look. I did put on the Ardell 372 lashes. This is an all matte look. And here's the fourth and final finished look. Also put on the Ardell 372 lashes. And in the waterline, I put Icebreaker from ColourPop. The shimmers are super stunning. So if you've seen my video with the Book of Magic palette, I wasn't like the biggest fan of the mattes. They're not my favorite formula of all time. They're a little bit on the thinner side, which I personally don't prefer because I have had issues with thinner formulas, kind of like Ace Beauté formula, for example, not really wanting to build up and getting patchy. But I really feel like it was the primer that made a difference this time. I used the Natasha Denona primer and I didn't set it, and I feel like while the eyeshadow stuck down a little bit, I just was able to layer so much easier than when I used this primer and I set it. I just felt like it kind of accentuated the thinness of the formula of the mattes. But from swatching, the mattes in here do feel like about the same type of thinness and formula as the Book of Magic, but I just had a much better experience. I do have to play with that Book of Magic palette with the Natasha Denona primer and try it out on that. So overall, I really enjoy the palette. I think there's so many possibilities of looks to do with this palette. The shimmers, again, just like the Book of Magic palette, which is the only other experience I had with their shimmers, is absolutely beautiful. They're a little bit on the like really slick side. So I definitely recommend using some sort of a glitter primer if you have hooded oily lids such as myself and you want that longevity with these, because they might crease on you. Also, I would recommend not putting them over directly a base that is tacky but doesn't quite set down. So like if you're using something like the Glam Light primer, I would definitely recommend setting it and then going in with the glitter primer and the shimmer, because there's always something about the tacky bases for me where I put a shimmer over it. It just doesn't quite last, but these are so stunning. I think this is a really nice variety. There is only one thing I would say is I wish there was just a little bit of more depth in here. So we have the blue and the green, which is great, but I just kind of wish that raw was more of a burgundy kind of shade, because we have this shade next to it, and when I did use them together, yeah, I kind of deepened it up, but just not enough for my taste. So that was the only critique, and everyone's been saying that this reminds them of the Vida and Muerte palettes from Melt Cosmetics. I definitely agree. You kind of get a similar vibe of those two palettes, so if you missed out on those, then this is a great option for you if you love the color stories and you love these tones together. Obviously, formulation wise, completely different. I would say the shimmers in this palette are significantly better than any Melt shimmers I've pretty much ever tried, but the mattes in the Vida and Muerte palette are very different from this kind of formula. But I almost think that this is maybe a little bit friendly formula for anybody who's a beginner, or just in general. Like, I think it's easier to make mistakes with the Melt mattes because they're just so pigmented and they're very dense, so it's easy to just go in with too much and then you can't take away. So it's always easier to build up than to have to take away. So I would recommend this palette to you if you're interested in it and you love the color story. Then definitely worth the $15, and I'm sure they're going to be having sales, and I'm sure this palette's going to go on sale and it's going to be like $9 or something. I think it's an amazing deal, and I'm really excited to see what other palettes they come out with. And so that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content, lots of eyeshadow palettes and tutorials uploading my channel, and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.